Hello, this is Jackie B. Peterson. I'm the author of Better, Smarter, Richer, 7 Business Principles for Solo and Creative Entrepreneurs. And as our listeners know, it's my mission to help solopreneurs, those of you in one-person businesses, find the financial success that you are seeking by having your own enterprise. And you can do that by following the 7 principles that I've outlined in Better, Smarter, Richer. Please go to my website, bettersmarterricher.com. You can download the free ebook. You can sign up for my online course, Better, Smarter, Richer. You can read our great blog. We've got lots of conversations going on. And also sign up for our free newsletter that comes out on a regular basis. And pay attention to next events and who's going to be on our Solo Pro radio show. And just so you know, I want to put it on your calendar on December 3rd. For those of you in the Portland, Oregon region, we are doing a free symposium about the principles of solopreneurship. It will be from 6 to 9 o'clock p.m. at the Portland Community College Climb Center in Southeast Portland. And on December 4th, I will be in Astoria doing my program called How to Charge What You Are Worth. That will be running from 5:30 to 8 o'clock at the Clatsop County Community College, and you can tune into my website and take a look at when that is. Love to have you at any of those. So today, our conversation is with Leslie Huddart. Leslie is the owner and founder of Mountain Lake Wellness Center. She's not only a licensed acupuncturist, but she also has a master's degree in acupuncture and oriental medicine. And she has a liberal arts degree in French, German, and business administration. She's absolutely immersed herself in the world of shiatsu and Thai massage in Japan and has lived at a yoga ashram in India. What a great background. Welcome, Leslie. We're looking forward to our conversation.
Good morning, Jackie. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. And we've got this bright, sunny morning, everybody, all of our listeners. So, Leslie, tell us a bit about your background. I mean, sounds very interesting, time in Japan, time in India, and, business administration and acupuncture and oriental medicine. So where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? And how did you get to the spiritual wellness studies you've got?
Yeah, well, I've always been someone who was curious about people and what makes people work and what are they interested in. And so I was kind of naturally a foreign language nerd. I got some degrees in foreign languages and thought growing up that maybe I would be a foreign language teacher. But as I was graduating from college, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on the East Coast. And as I was growing up, I really, in a college-age person, had a lot of just some health things that I ended up becoming essentially a natural health expert in my early 20s. I learned a lot. I read a lot. I learned about gluten intolerance. I improved my digestion. I had always had women's health issues. I had irregular periods. And so I really delved into what was really going on in my body because I had been through the Western medicine route and had really seen that didn't provide me with the answers or the inspiration that I was really looking for at that time in my life. I really got interested in yoga and foods and how that affected how my body worked. So as I was graduating with my degree in French and German and business administration, I was pretty sure that I was actually headed to more of a career in lifestyle and natural health. So I went to Japan for a few years to teach English. I got a job as a foreign language teacher in a public high school in Kyoto, Japan, which was wonderful. And it was a really great time in my life to really learn a little bit more and confirm that I wasn't necessarily on the path to be a foreign language teacher in high school, which I loved, and I loved working with teenagers. But in my spare time, I also started studying shiatsu, which is a Japanese form of traditional body work, very much like oriental medicine, the same concept of acupuncture. And I really confirmed for myself that this was really what sort of was very fulfilling for me in terms of work in the world. So that kind of pointed me in that natural health direction.
Wow. That's really cool. That's really cool that you go with one thing, but the love that you have and the interest that you have in natural medicine just kind of pulls you. And, you say you think you're going to teach the language, but you wind up over there saying, oh, this is what I'm really here for.
Right.
How fabulous. So then you also studied in India?
Yeah, so after my time in Japan, it was an exploratory time of life, and I had been practicing yoga. I continued that when I was in Japan, as well as my shiatsu training there. And I had also spent some time during a summer in Thailand for some intensive training in Thai massage therapy, which is a different type of hands-on body work. Some people call it the lazy man's yoga. It's like helping someone stretch and doing acupressure for them, which I really love. So body work, and Asian body work in particular, was really my window into natural health and ultimately led me to acupuncture school. And so when I left Japan, I made a sort of tour through India and went to an ashram outside of Nasik, which is about 3 hours away from Mumbai, which used to be called Bombay. And so I stayed there and did my intensive yoga teacher training and ended up staying on there as a volunteer. So I was there for about 4 months and really got a good foundation in really the classical view on yoga, not just as the system of postures that you do for physical health, but really a wider system that has to do with personal development and knowing the nature of the mind and learning how to go inward and be quiet and have deeper states of meditation and understanding of what does it really mean to be a human being and cultivate ourselves in that way. So it was a really, really blessed foundation for some of those insights into ancient and traditional ways of understanding what this life is, and that really has continued to guide me in my work with people and with health for sure.
So after you were in India, then is that when you came back and, studied acupuncture?
Yes, by that point I had really sort of gotten the hint and the aha moment. My big aha moment had been, I had really positive experience in natural medicine growing up. I had seen a chiropractor in high school, and that was really the first official natural health practitioner that I had actually seen. I'm very tall, I'm 6'3", and so I had played all the tall sports of basketball and volleyball in high school and a little bit in college. And so I had low back pain. And I had a good friend in high school who said, I have low back pain. She was a soccer player. And so she said, you have to see my chiropractor. I'd never seen a chiropractor before, but it sounded like a good idea. And he was really the first person who I went to who talked about diet, which I thought was amazing. Even as a teenager, I said, wow, this is what I've been looking for. So I had maybe been on the path of thinking about maybe I'll be a chiropractor. And it was during my time in Japan working with the shiatsu teacher, I would bike every Saturday. I would ride my bike up this huge hill, of which I'd never make it all the way up the hill. It was really the side of a mountain, to my teacher's small little, they're called machiyas, or traditional Japanese homes. So they're very thin, and they have very steep steps in there, and would climb up. Her house was right next to one of the temples in Japan, of which there are many. So this beautiful bamboo and the view of the city, and you'd climb into this old wooden sliding door machiya and go up the steep, steep steps. And she had a tatami room mat, which is the traditional woven mat. And so when I started learning shiatsu, it was really a crash course. And she would say, look at the person and know with your energetic, empathetic imagination where they need to be pressed at this moment.
Wow.
And as a 21, 22, 23-year-old, I thought to myself, yeah, I'll let you know when their chi gives me a call, and I'll let you know. So I was a little skeptical at that point. But eventually, over time, I really started to begin having those experiences of, wow, I can really feel it. This person's chi, or their ki, as it's called in Japanese, their vital energy is really directing me to go left.
Wow.
And that was really an aha moment for me of an understanding that there is this underlying level of the body that is more subtle than the physical body, but is very real and very much in communication with us in its own way. And so I really understood in that moment that that's where I wanted to work with people. So that really shot me into the direction of Eastern medicine, and I came back from India and I finished up all my extra medical prerequisites that I needed to go to acupuncture school, and then made my way to Portland in the Oregon College of Oriental Medicine here.
Which is pretty wonderful. It's pretty wonderful. What a great story. I love that, where all of a sudden you were able to feel people's energy. And, I like that statement. Yeah, sure, I'll let you know when their energy calls to me. And lo and behold, it did. Right? Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's totally true.
How funny. So then you started Mountain Lake Wellness Center, right?
Yes, I started Mountain Lake Wellness Center with a colleague and friend who I had gone through school with, Dan Pappas. He's also a licensed acupuncturist in Portland. We started the business together. At some point, we decided to do our own professional things separately, but we started that just after we graduated from school. And so it was really just my plan to have a place for working with people in the world. And I really held that vision of wanting the experience that I had wanted as a young person, too, of a place where people were alternative practitioners who understood the world of medicine, but also had that window into the deeper aspect of what is it to be human and how do our thoughts and emotions affect our health as well.
So what is it that you think distinguishes Mountain Lake Wellness Center from other acupuncture and wellness centers? I mean, if I'm looking for one, why would I choose Mountain Lake?
Yeah, I think like anything, whether it's our dentist or our doctor, especially our natural health practitioner, because natural health is a wonderful realm where you really do evolve an intimate and caring relationship with a person who really becomes your trusted health advisor. That really is my goal, is to be a trusted health advisor for people in their lives and to know how their wider life is affecting their inner life and their physical body, because I believe that really is the baseline level in how we find lasting change. So I think that every practitioner is quite different, and I always encourage people to check out the practitioner, talk with other people, read their, now we have this wonderful level of technology that you can read your Google reviews. I say that we are different and I'm different as a practitioner, and really I really am intentioned in looking at the deeper level of things. So people who know that things just aren't right, they really have been to other practitioners, their tests in Western medicine come back normal, but they have a sense that somehow their life is out of balance. Mm-hmm. And I really pride ourselves on being a place where people can come and really get a wide, holistic solution to find ways that they can be empowered in themselves to make small changes in what they're doing and how they're thinking in small practices that can really change very quickly how they feel about their life, hopeful for the future, and in their physical body.
So, Leslie, do you still also work in diet with that? Because you kind of started with your own diet and understanding how your diet was affecting, say, your work with your chiropractor. Do you still do that, or do you work with other nutritionists?
I do a little bit of both.
Uh-huh.
Chinese medicine is really interesting in that a lot of people just see it as acupuncture. Yeah. But really it has 5 branches that we learn in training as acupuncturists. One is acupuncture. One is Chinese herbal medicine, which is a very ancient and very potent tradition of medical herbalism. And then Qigong, which is similar to yoga in that it's different body and mind exercises to really cultivate the energy of the body. And then traditional nutrition is part of that as well, and those 5 branches of Oriental medicine, and also body work. And so we learn all of those things, and so my approach is very broad. And so I include a lot about basics of traditional nutrition, which in a lot of ways turn normal Western fad nutrition on its head a little bit, but really get good therapeutic results.
Yes.
And I also, for people who have targeted really, say, weight loss, or they're having pre-diabetes issues and really need to hone in and be very super specific on that, I have colleagues also as well that I refer to people and work with back and forth as well.
Oh, that's just really perfect, because I know we're finally in the Western world beginning to look at our diet and say, maybe those cows on the wild open plains, or all of those wheat fields, or all of that corn that we're turning into high fructose corn syrup isn't really the best thing for us, just because our, factory farms can grow those things. We're finally beginning to say that as a society. So I would think you would want to include some of the nutrition, based on what you're talking about. But on your website, you tell a tale of someone who's seeking her own purpose, which sounds like, a trip to Japan, that's the time in India, and your own place in the world, and now you help others do that, how you help them find their place in the world. Does that, and you have a commitment to helping people become unstuck. So how does that play out in your practice?
Yeah, great question. I often introduce and tell people that I'm really an unstuck expert, because it really is what I do. People have, like I said, been to other places, or maybe they've been to their medical practitioner, or they have something complicated and weird that nobody else can figure out, and often it's because there are deeper levels going on. And in the ancient understanding of the body, whether it's in Oriental medicine and or Ayurveda, the ancient science of India, there really is a concrete understanding that our emotions are very real and play a part in very certain ways, that the body interacts and reacts to a certain way. Injuries don't come up by accident. Our disease patterns don't come up by accident. Everything is really connected, and the body is really always speaking to us. And so I feel really fortunate to have a good amount of energetic and spiritual education in ancient scriptures of all sorts of types, and have really my own spiritual practice that is very a dedicated part of my life that helps me recharge and gain my own perspective. So when someone comes to me, I really have that to offer, that of my own work that I have done on myself, and a wide perspective of really understanding the energetic and emotional world and the way that it fits in with the physical body, how we progress spiritually in our lives, and also to interface with their Western complaints. And when all of those things combine, it really creates a platform for people to make amazing changes that usually they're on the verge of when they come in my door.
What a powerful practice to be able to weave a person's situation, their illness or their discomfort, their dis-ease, together with that understanding of, Western life, and yet acupuncture and ancient scriptures, and that ancient understanding of how emotion affects us. I mean, what a great practice to be able to weave all of that together and really hone right in on what's going to help your clients get, as you say, unstuck and move forward. Because you're drawing from, oh my goodness, thousands of different truths and teachings, and bringing them together to work with one person and help them ease their dis-ease. I think that's great. How fun.
Yeah, it keeps me busy, and I really enjoy it, having a new thing every day. It's really, really quite a blessing, to be able to do what you want to do. So.
Oh, it is a blessing to get to do what you want to do. And actually, I think that's one of those things we choose, but we have to have courage, to say, no, this is what I should be doing. So, yeah. So, how do you work with your clients? I mean, do you work with them always one-on-one, or I see from your website again you're offering some wellness retreats, and how does that work? How do you work with your clients?
I have a variety of ways, and I'm sure you've heard from many other people and practitioners, as I've worked with people one-on-one, I do really have just a craving to be of service to more people in different ways. So I love working with people one-on-one, but I've also been widening that as well to be able to work with people to teach classes. I really love working with people on retreat, because it really provides an intense and beautiful container for really making those lasting changes. We can get so caught up in our daily life that it's difficult to make the changes that we know we need to make. And in the environment of a group of focused people in really a sacred space that you create together, I continue to see amazing results. And our last women's intensive retreat in the fall just ended with glowing reviews of people who have accomplished what they wanted to, and there's some great testimonial videos that the women shared at the end of their experience, which I'll be posting on the website. And so I enjoy the workshops, and I also teach free classes, especially teleseminars. I have one coming up on December 5th. Is a way to just give people more information that I know is helpful to them and start them on their healing journey, whether or not they're ready to work with me one-on-one. And so I've enjoyed that as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, if I can talk about the business of your business for a minute, the what I know as a business advisor is that one-on-one is usually the premium service that you offer people, and so it sounds like you've done a good job between teleseminars and retreats and classes of finding ways to work with people in groups, and out of that, maybe 10% or 5%, actually come forward to work with you one-on-one, which is a premium service. So when you think of, your clinic, your wellness center as a business, which is, my part of the whole thing, that makes a very good sense to have that kind of a model. You can work with people in groups, and then you can work with them one-on-one as well. If you just limit yourself to working with people one-on-one, as you say, you don't get to see enough of them, and it makes your services way too expensive. And, you can work with people in groups and teams and retreats and, make what you're doing affordable and reach more people who need to be reached. So that's the business side of the whole thing.
Yeah, beautifully said. I've really found that to be true, and so thank you for just really beautifully laying that out very clearly, because I think it's a lesson that can sometimes take a long and hard time to learn as a small business owner. So
Yes. And we love one-on-one, but it's really a premium service, to work with somebody one-on-one. And, I have several clients who are chiropractors, for instance, and naturopaths, and I'm thinking particularly the chiropractor who has put together her practice in a way where she says, some of the chiropractic practices are just like a mill, and they will see, 10 patients in an hour. And that means that, they see a massage therapist, they see a chiropractic assistant, and I just step in and maybe do an adjustment, and they really don't get to spend any time with me, which means I don't get to spend any time with them, in their energy field, learning a little deeper about what's going on. And she said, I absolutely refuse to have my practice be that way. We're going to build it in, another way that maybe I see 3 patients an hour, and they each get 20 minutes, and we schedule to that, and we keep that working, rather than, I just come in and do an adjustment. And I think she's so right. We not only need the hands-on work that the practitioner does with us, but we need that energetic and spiritual connection of that person. When you're letting somebody mess with your energy field, you really want to know them a little bit, I think.
Well said.
Yeah. So it seems to me you're a lot about helping people get grounded and to find their way. So, Leslie, how do you do that for yourself? How do you stay grounded and, set off in the right direction?
Yeah, good self-care is really the challenge and the order of the day, I think, for everyone, certainly when you're a practitioner of some sort, and also just having your own business, which we know kind of never stops in a way.
Yes.
So creating those boundaries and those practices. And for me, it's getting good rest, it's doing the basic self-care things, and also just doing my spiritual practice. I do asanas and breathing and meditation daily, really without exception, because I've found that is, one, it's just the priority of this life that I'm living, and it's also my source of recharge. And so in that lesson of personal sustainability and how to really be of service to others, it's that being of service to ourselves first. And so I really try to hold to that pretty strongly.
Cool. So you're setting an example, which is the only thing that really matters anyway. What we say doesn't matter. What we do matters. And when we're, and what we do is in alignment with what we say, people say, all right, now I'm going to listen to you because you're walking your talk. And it sounds like you're doing that. So you have a variety of healing styles, it seems to me, that you offer. You've got one called PEMF, Pulse Electromagnetic Field. So what does that do? And how did you decide to add that particular intervention to your practice?
Yes. I often joke and tell people that I'm really not your average acupuncturist. I use a lot of different things, and I've really been interested. My mind just has been curious about a lot of things for a long time, so I integrate a lot of different things, and the pulse magnetic field therapy is one of those. It's really a wonderful technology that I wish more people knew about. It's been used in Europe for about 40-plus years, and so there's a lot of even Western medical research about its effectiveness. And in this country, it's approved by the FDA, which is huge, for things like healing faster after surgery and healing broken bones and even hard-to-treat clinical depression. So What pulse magnetic field therapy is is a very therapeutic application of magnets. Now, the Earth has a natural magnetic field of which we have all evolved in, and the human body is an electromagnetic organism. Every single cell has a certain charge, and that's part of the way that nutrients get in and out of the cell. And so what pulsed electromagnetic field therapy does is it's really excellent for pain reduction, chronic inflammation, because it can affect the cells at the deep level of the body where things like creams and maybe even acupuncture have trouble getting to. And so what people find when they start to do this type of therapy, it's essentially a mat that they lay on that has coils in it that produce a pulsed electromagnetic field at a very low level. And it's always changing up the frequency so that the body doesn't get used to it, so it remains very therapeutic, which takes it beyond what has been the limit of things like static magnets.
Uh-huh.
And so it really helps people with pain. It helps them sleep better right away. Their muscles feel more relaxed. And so I'll often combine it with acupuncture because I think it increases the effectiveness, especially if someone is having intense musculoskeletal issues. And it's also a standalone service at my clinic because I integrate it with light and sound relaxation, which uses binaural music and LED lights that really help induce deep levels of relaxation. I kind of tell people it's like meditation for busy people. It's a great adjunct of being able to come and relax and really get back to that deep level of healing, because we know from experience and research that when people are able to get into those deeper states of relaxation, that the body really is able to do some deep healing work that it can't otherwise do.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I, again, reading your website, you said it's also approved for use with those with Parkinson's. And, as our population ages, it seems like that's more of a common condition. Is this right? Are you helping people with Parkinson's with this electromagnetic work?
Yes, it is effective. I'll change the languaging just because it's a medical device, and it's not approved use for people with Parkinson's because that would be a big FDA thing.
Yeah.
But what we find is that it is really helpful for people who are suffering from Parkinson's-like symptoms and Parkinson's itself. One of the things, and that's a very tough disorder that Western medicine doesn't have a whole lot of really, I would say, positive solutions for. There are some drugs, there are some therapies that people find helpful, but all in all, it's quite a difficult thing, and a lot of things are focused on helping quality of life. What people find with magnetic field and Parkinson's is, for a lot of individuals, it does a lot to really reduce tremor symptoms and increase mobility, which is huge. And interestingly, in the past decade, one of the therapies that Parkinson's individuals do find help with is called deep brain stimulation, where they'd get actually a small device almost similar to a pacemaker implanted in the brain, because there's a lot going on with dopamine in the brain with Parkinson's. And so reading about that, this is in a way very similar of giving a magnetic pulse, although it's very non-invasive, and people tend to get results. So it's an exciting thing, and I wish more people knew about it as a resource, because in terms of issues of care, it can really bring a lot of benefit to those people. Well,
especially even though it isn't FDA, approved for Parkinson's itself, but especially when it's a therapy that's already FDA approved, because so many things were, we seem to be very cautious and, much more cautious than other parts of the world. And so to get that approval, I think is a great thing. And I can see that deep relaxation would help an awful lot of people. And one of the things I know is that we live in a very stressful world. And for instance, I have a client who's a child therapist, and she works exclusively with children with panic and anxiety disorders. And I say to her, you are never going to run out of clients. Don't worry about it, because of the world that we have created. And I think that stress and anxiety and depression certainly continues with many, many people into their grown-up years and stops a lot of them from being who they could be. And, if this helps with the depression and, helps people relax and, find their place in the world, what a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty fantastic. So do you have professionals other than yourself at Mountain Lake, or is it just you? Or not that there's just you. You're a lot. So how does that work?
No, we're actually expanding. I'm looking to add a massage therapist because I have found that just dovetails beautifully with acupuncture.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be expanding this fall, looking for a massage therapist, and in the spring, adding on another acupuncturist.
Oh, that's great. So you've got enough room and space to do that, and they'll have their own room, and okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm always interested for our small businesses of, how do you go about marketing? How do you find your clients?
Right. How do I find my clients? How do they find me? Well, partly through teaching and advertising. I've, at this point in my business, grown a good amount of word of mouth people, which is wonderful because people have a sense of who you are and what you're doing, or sometimes they'll be looking for someone in their area and they'll read the Google reviews and say, wow, you really had some good reviews, so I thought I'd give it a try. And whatever gets people over the hump to really just take that step to try something new that they think is going to help them. Yeah. I also have the advantage of being able to take insurance for people, which is a huge thing in terms of people deciding and finding a practitioner. So I'm on several insurance panels, which means people can go on to their listing of practitioners that are approved through their insurance and find me that way. And so it's kind of a combination of all of those things.
Wow. So that's good, and probably the classes and the teaching that you give work that way. So do you enjoy marketing? For many of our solos, that's really a sore spot for them with their businesses, and they find the marketing really difficult. And I know I try to tell people that marketing really means that you get to talk enthusiastically about what you love to do. But, being that, they tell us one of the two great fears of us in the world, that our number one, we have a fear of dying, and right behind that comes our fear of speaking in front of people. And they say what that means. A comedian stood up and said, with those being the two main fears that we have, what it means it is if you're asked to give a eulogy, you would probably rather be in the coffin. I think that's so funny.
Kind of a good picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, because so many people are fearful about standing up and talking. That makes marketing a lot of times really difficult for, our small businesses, because so much depends on people getting to know and trust you, Yeah. And they just have a hard time. As I say, I try to tell them that marketing is mostly being excited and enthusiastic about what it is that you love to do anyway. And they say, sure.
Sure, whatever. Yeah, no, it's definitely been something that I've grown with. I'm thankful to not have had so much barriers to public speaking. I think I never really thought about it, but just over time had gotten into speaking more in front of people. I gave my college address in front of 400 people, and
cool.
So I a little bit of experience of speaking in front of people, and so that wasn't quite as daunting. I think teaching in front of teenagers at the front of a classroom sort of gets you over. So my time teaching in Japan for a few years really, helped with sort of directing the environment and learning how to structure class, and certainly to keep young, generally uninterested people involved was a skill that I honed during those years. And the rest I've just really worked on. I really recognized early on that it was business as a set of skills that I didn't necessarily know that I needed going through a healing arts program, and so I've worked really hard in the past couple of years to really build the things that I knew I didn't know.
Yeah. We talk about that. I work part-time at the Small Business Development Center at our community college, and we talk about that a lot, that how many professionals get graduated from all kinds of schools, whether it be, the art school or OCOM, the Oriental Medicine, or we have a naturopathic college here, as you probably know, and excuse me, and then we have the dental school, and we have the engineering school, and so people graduate knowing their craft. They know, how to be a dentist or an engineer or an acupuncturist or a naturopath, but they have no idea how to turn it into a business. And so what we do at our Small Business Development Center is we help people create businesses out of that, no matter what their art or craft is. And we bemoan the fact a lot that many of these colleges, they just don't teach people how to be in business for themselves. And by far, that's what most professionals, are going to do. They're going to create their own business, even if they don't do it immediately. Eventually, they're going to create their own business, and they just don't know how to do it. And it's an interesting thing. So, and I was thinking too when you talked about your marketing, that being that you're in Portland, of course, with the Oregon, with the College of Oriental Medicine, we're pretty used to the concept of acupuncture here, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I think it's really, people will often get in a little bit, I would call it a limited mentality of, Portland is saturated, there are so many acupuncturists. And it is really true. We have probably one of the highest per capita acupuncturist areas in certainly the Pacific Northwest, and California maybe challenges that a little bit, but really in the world. And so, but I reassure people that I see people every day who have never had acupuncture before. So yes. I think it's a win-win because people are familiar enough with it that they know someone who has had it and whom it's worked for. So I think it's really a positive thing. I do think for acupuncturists starting out that it takes longer to build a business versus colleagues of mine who graduated with me and then went back to Casper, Wyoming, per se, and started treating 13 people a week. That's generally not the scenario here in Portland, but it's certainly doable, and I think there are benefits to having so many acupuncturists here and it being approved by insurance and people really having an awareness of it.
Yeah, I'd say it's not that it's quite mainstream, but certainly most people in Portland anyway, I don't know about the whole state, are aware of the discipline of acupuncture, and as you say, at least know somebody who have worked with an acupuncturist, and it's not a big surprise. But I'm sure that that's not true in other parts of the country, and I'm sure people struggle to get known. I know when we've traveled in the Midwest, we have talked to relatives, and I've said, "Oh my goodness, I just can't survive. I can't imagine surviving without my acupuncturist." And what do you mean? You go to acupuncture? And we talk about that, and they're very interested in it, and kind of like, okay, well, I guess you're not too crazy. And so,
right, and to the credit of the hospitals here too. I mean, the Kaiser insurance system, Kaiser-level doctors, you can go to your doctor and ask them about acupuncture, and they can write a prescription for acupuncture, and it will be covered through, depending on people's plans, will be covered through their insurance plan. So I receive a lot of patients that way as well, that their doctor even suggested. And it depends on the doctor. Some people, that doesn't really work that smoothly. But I've been really impressed with networks like the Kaiser Network that really have integrated alternative care in that way.
Yes, it's been pretty fantastic. So, back to your practice, Leslie, what would a typical client be? How would they choose between you and other acupuncturists? I mean, what kind of typical symptoms or complaints or disease have they got when they come see you? What's going on for them?
Yeah, the people that I tend to draw and who are the best fit for me are generally women and men who have had natural health before. Maybe they haven't had acupuncture, but they've had massage or they've had chiropractic, and they sort of already are doing some things in their life that they know they can change themselves to make some improvements. So I'm generally not people's introduction to natural health as a whole. And they're looking for that sort of next level. What they've tried hasn't helped, and they kind of have a sense that acupuncture is a little bit wider than just for their sore shoulder. It helps with really serious internal things. It helps with emotional imbalances, and they're really looking because they're at that stuck point. Because I use herbs a lot, when I graduated from OCOM, they hired me as a supervisor in their herbal medicinary working with students, and so I really focus on herbs as well and have that strong tool bag. And so people come with really difficult things that either Western medicine can't help or has tried, and they've sort of not really gotten the results that they wanted to. So people are generally feeling kind of stuck, like something not right. They've tried other things and it isn't working, and they have a sense that it's somehow connected with the stress or the situation of their life, and they just need another option. They want to be more calm. They want to be more peaceful. They want to get along with themselves and others better, and they end up at my door, which is really a blessing to be able to sit with those people and kind of see where their life is and where they want to go.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So how do you plan to grow your business? You know, you talked about adding a couple people, and are you going to offer any e-programs, online training? You said you do some teleseminars, phone coaching. I mean, what are your growth plans other than in addition to adding the massage therapist and another acupuncturist? How are you looking ahead?
Yeah, physically we're adding those practitioners, and then in the spring I'm also teaching a 5-week telecourse, which will kind of dovetail for my free training in December. I really have had this desire to really get the work out to more people. And so in the spring I'll be unleashing, it's kind of secret, I haven't even spoken it out loud, my system called Soul Body Medicine that is really helping the average individual who really wants to make some deep changes in their life to get the insights from their body, which is this organism that has been with us our whole entire life, which most people have never even talked to or had a conversation with, which isn't normal in our culture. But can you imagine having a friend with you your whole entire life and never picking up the phone when they call? Wow. There is so much wisdom in our body that we are not trained or able to pay attention to, and with very small techniques that are simple and easy to learn, you can really unleash a lot of gateway for being more free, of getting rid of the old crap that we thought was gone but was still hanging out in the basement. And so at the end of these types of programs, people really find that they have the tools to be more of who they actually are. And so that's really exciting for me, and that's what's kind of coming down the pipeline in 2014.
That's fabulous. What a good idea. And I like the way that you say that you've had a friend with you your whole life and you're not talking to it, and it knows everything about you, and you're not talking to it. Now, wait a minute. Not sharing its wisdom. Oh, that's fantastic. That's really fantastic. So you think you'll be doing that in the spring or the summer? Or?
Yes, I'll be teaching a part of it for free as part of my December 5th teleclass.
Uh-huh.
And then in January, I think it will be around January 10th, so beginning of the year.
What a great way to start 2014. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we know the holidays are coming. They're almost upon us, and it's a very stressful time for people. So do you have any tips or words of wisdom that we can share with our listeners of some of the things that they could do between now and, Christmas or New Year's to just kind of relieve some of the stress of these hectic times?
Yeah, this is really the hectic time, and I see a lot of people around this. And, the diet is a huge thing that people don't necessarily want to think about around Thanksgiving time. And I encourage people to not be, to really enjoy the cookies and the cake and the other things, and to try to be moderate about those things. The basic things like rest are really important. The thing that's different for me that I always stress with people around the holidays is holidays are a great opportunity to hone our communication skills, because so much of our stress comes from interacting with family and from the stress of holidays and everyone being stressed about being stressed and then not being able to enjoy being together. And so I really stress communication skills around the holidays. One book that I really like is a resource that's called Difficult Conversations, How to Discuss What Matters Most. And there's a link to that on my website under the book Things I Like books link. But I find that when people can really brush up how they communicate their feelings and desires with the people that are close to them, that holidays get a lot less stressful and they have to worry less about the other things.
Oh, that's pretty neat. I mean, it sounds like I think that we set up expectations like we're all going to be the Norman Rockwell family, and, we aren't. And we're all human beings, and we come with all of our stuff. And, if we can just get rid of that fantasy set of expectations and love ourselves and each other for who we are and what we are and, how we are in the world, then we can find real joy in it. But sometimes, boy, it's hard to do. And we're just bombarded with advertising images of who we should be or ought to be, and I think that's crazy. That's not us at all. And part of that is saying, who is this? This is my family, and I'm just going to love them for who they are and let it go. And really just sharing who we actually are. I mean, that's been one of my
personal challenges that I didn't even know that I had of, operating under having to be super perfect or having to be a certain way, and just kind of making the assumption that I couldn't tell other people what was really going on with me. So it's been sort of my constitutional challenge that, having a family to communicate with lovingly has really helped for me to just, let other people know. And as it turns out, it all works out okay, and no one dies, and everybody feels better for it.
Yeah, and you can all enjoy those wonderful meals and, the time and the beauty of the season and when the sun shines and all that great stuff. So, Leslie, I've really enjoyed talking with you today, and I know a lot of our listeners have loved hearing from you and know that maybe some of them know that you are the wellness professional for them. So how can they get hold of you? So also be sure to talk a little bit more about your December 5th program and let people know how to get hold of you. So how do they find you?
Yeah, they can find me through my website, which is www.mountainlakewellness.com. And there's lots of information about my practice, what I do, the different types of modalities. And there's also a link to my free December training. You'll see it on the left side of the website. That'll be December 5th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And when people sign up for that, which is just their name and their email, they'll also get a recording of it afterwards. So even if they can't make the teleseminar itself, they'll get a recording that they can listen to anytime in their car, which I like because I do that a lot. I'm kind of on the go and a pretty busy person. And so, again, that link would be at mountainlakewellness.com. It's the free December training called Body Wisdoms. And I always encourage people to take advantage of, I have a free 15-minute consultation if they want to ask more questions. I really want people to find the practitioner that's best for them. And I do really take pride in really sending them to the right person if it's not me. So I do consider that part of my service is to really help people figure out what's best for them and best I can, and if it's not working with me, it's with someone else. But it gives people a good idea to kind of get a feel and ask questions and know that they're in the right place. So I love connecting with people in that way, and I trust that the people who are meant to work with me will find their way as well. So.
Oh, that's great. So, again, Leslie, I've really enjoyed talking with you today, and listeners, I want to remind you that this is Jackie B. Peterson, and I'm the author of Better, Smarter, Richer, 7 Business Principles for Solo and Creative Entrepreneurs. And, it's my job in the universe to help solos build successful enterprises, become financially successful, and find ways to bring their talent, their truth, and their skills out into the world and offer them for sale to other people and make a good living based on what they know and their purpose and their mission and their love of their life. And we can make that happen, but there's some things you have to do to be financially successful. Solo businesses are not the same as traditional businesses. Traditional businesses teach you to hire employees, and the next thing that you know, you're going to be spending all your time managing your employees other than doing the work that you love. So in a solo business, what we want you to do is focus on what you're an expert about and keep honing and increasing your knowledge so that you can charge a handsome fee for what you do and continue to devote most of your time to the work that you love and outsource the support work, the admin work that you don't like but other people do love. It's their purpose. So check in at www.bettersmarterricher.com and download the free ebook, sign up for our newsletter, and take a look at the programs we're going to be offering. As I said at the beginning, I'm going to be doing a free symposium on the principles of solopreneurship on December 3rd, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Portland Community College Climb Center, room 104. If you go to my website calendar, you'll see it there. And on December 4th, I'm going to be teaching my class. This is the most popular one I do, called How to Charge What You're Worth, down at the Clatsop Community College in Astoria. And I hope that you can join us that evening. Also, keep tuned in to Solo Pro Radio. We have a weekly show. Actually, we have a daily show talking to solos in different fields of solopreneurship. And my co-hosts, Susan Rich and Barbara Saunders, also will be talking to solos. We present to you the wide variety and opportunities available to you in solopreneurship. So for today, we're winding up, and thanks again for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week. Goodbye.